Hey folks, Cannonball Cats Hunt on a Budget, Texas. I am back today. I'm going to be bringing you about a 15 to 20 minute segment on an upgrade for the trigger pull on a Glock Gen 17, or excuse me, a Glock Gen 3, Glock 17 Gen 3, excuse me. And this beast has had many rounds through it, and it is a runner, but it's time to upgrade the trigger and keep the same defensive standards with it, but lighten that thing up and make it better. This is not my firearm. This is actually a firearm that I'm doing some work on for a buddy of mine, and I'm trying to make it run better and get him better than it already has, and get him set up with a really nice finished product in the end. It has a great trigger pull and some match grade accuracy. Glocks are already good firearms, but we can make it better. All right, folks. Well, I got something coming up right after this that's going to jump right into it and show you what we're working with. We'll catch you on the flip. This is the Ghost Incorporated Ultimate Trigger Kit, and it's not a trigger, but it's got some parts to lower the pull. This is a Gen 3 Glock 17 clear. This is comes with the connector. This is the ultimate 3.5 pound trigger connector, and comes with this little packet here, and comes with a complete spring kit, which includes two reduced power springs for your striker, a heavy trigger spring that sits under your crucible, and then a reduced hammer block spring. So I need to open this up and figure out which spring is which as far as the striker spring, because it comes with two of those. It comes with a 4 pound, and it also comes with a 6 pound. I do not want to use the 6 pound. I believe that's pretty much what is already in this stock Glock. So I want to go to the 4 pound and try it out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change out the connector, put it back together, rack it, run some trigger tests to see what the connector by itself does. Then we're going to go in and change each part one by one and check each one and see how it affects the trigger pull as we make our way through. What you just saw previously was the 3 trigger pulls with the stock system involved in there, and everything came out to right around that 6.5 pound average. So sorry my head's cut off, but I figure you want to focus on the action down here instead of my ugly mug. Anyhow, we will be back with you in a minute. I'm going to take this apart, and I'm going to show the installation of this. I'm going to leave this pack right here so it'll be seen on the screen, still sealed package, so there's no naysayers out there. I will break this open once I get this broken down, get all the parts out, and we'll make some changes and go from there. All right, be back in a minute. All right, Cannonball Cats, I'm on a budget. Texas, I'm back with a continuation, and had to get my trusty old RC car bench block here in case I need it. small punch hammer and a couple of punch tools in case I need them. I don't think I will. Well, I'm gonna need the punch tools, but we'll see. But let's go ahead and get this guy broken down so we can get this connector installed. All right, I'm not gonna waste too much time on this because you folks, plenty of videos out there for you folks to see how to do this. But breakdown is very simple. When it comes to these firearms, and so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take, oh look, I am going to need a punch. Okay, well that's fine. Or my bench block. There we go. Pull that pin out. Let's see now if I can get this one to go here. At least the tension on it. There we go. Get that one out. Oops. There's your slide stop. Just doing this real quick, folks, so bear with me here. Take out our locking block and then punch out the trigger pin. Drop that over there as well. Take this, you can put your punch tool there, and you just pry up right there on the back on that ejector, and you pull the trigger straight out. There's your trigger, and what's left is just the frame. I'm going to set this over here for a second, and then basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this connector, excuse me, and open it up. See me opening this here. I don't want to drop it everywhere, but if you didn't get a good look at it, it looks just like the picture here. There it is right there, and that is what we're going to put in. I'm going to set it right here. Let me take this crucible out here, undo that. In fact, I think I might, you know, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna change out this trigger spring anyway. Tell you what, I'm just gonna do it all rather than try and do this part. This is all I would be working with inside the trigger system, rather than take out the connector and then put it all back together and test it and then come back and open it and take out the spring and change out the spring. I'm just gonna do the whole jobber on both of these parts right now. This is a stock Glock trigger system, and the spring, you can see how, I don't know if you can make out where the opening is in that spring, but it basically points down on your crucible here. So when you're reinstalling, I just took that off. When you're reinstalling this spring, you just need to know that this goes down. It'll orient that one on that side when you hook it up automatically. So let me get this guy out. Probably should have taken it off when I had the crucible attached to it. It's probably a little bit easier. Let me grab my tool here so I can get it off here. And whoops. Let's see. I can get this guy out here. I know I can. It's just a little bit of a pain in the butt because I unhooked it from the crucible, and it's actually easier to get out. Like I was saying, if you actually leave it on the actual trigger and crucible as you're trying to remove it. There we go. Okay, there is the trigger spring. I'm going to put that over here. I'm actually going to take this and drop it into this bag. That way there's no mistaking which one is which. We got this connector that's going to be installed. We're going to sit here, and then I'm going to open up this kit here and pull the crucible and trigger spring out. So what this comes with is there's actually two springs here, two striker springs rolled up, and then you've got these two springs here. Okay, so I'm going to put this one back in here, put this paperwork back in here, and I'm going to set that right there. I'm going to pull out this little guy here, and if I can get this open, my dadgum sausage fingers sometimes prevent me from doing it, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and tear that little Ziploc bag open, and I'm going to dump these two guys out right here on the table, on my parts table here. So this, if I can get it off of there. So yeah, so remember, this is your actual striker block spring that we're going to put in on the slide. That comes later. So I'm going to drop that back in here as well. Kind of making a mess here. But this is your hammer spring, and this is supposed to be a more stout hammer spring to be used in an effort to assist with your trigger pull. So we hook it onto this little slot right here. Remember that it's going to be oriented like this. I don't know if you can see that hook, but the hook is down, and so it's going to hook like this. Okay, so I'm going to put that on now on this crucible trigger here, because I believe that it will be easier to install in a moment. So I'm going to set that down. Now I'm going to remove that connector right there, and the easiest way to do that is to punch it out. So there's a little piece on the back here with a slot, allows you to punch it straight out, it pushes right out and comes free. So I'm going to put that over here with the old trigger spring. You can see both of those in the bag there. And now I'm going to install the new Ghost connector. Let's see. Let's get this guy in here. You know what? Let me wipe a little bit of that oil that's in there right quick. A little of that there. Get that taken care of. Make sure there's not too much mess there in our way. Put that over here out of the way. Another pile of junk that I have. You know what? Got some more issues right there. Get that. I apologize for this added time dealing with this, but I want to put this in and do it in a manner that I'm not having to take it apart and re-clean everything again. So, all right, let's go ahead and install this guy. So it goes in very easy. You just take this little 90-degree base here, and it goes into that little slot. I don't know if you can see that on the, and there's a track here that it sits in. So you just put it in. It's kind of a pressure fit, to be honest. You know what? Wipe that guy, make sure he's clean. All right, put it in there. I know you can't see this, but I'm just going to do it the best way I can for my hands to get it done. Okay, got it in there. All right, you can see that the Ghost Incorporated Ultimate 3.5 pound slotted trigger connector is installed, and I am hoping that it's going to work out really well. Now we take this piece. Whoop, my spring just fell off. Hook this back on here again. Get it hooked up. Okay, so we got this piece here, and now we're going to take this and we're going to hook it on this little back slot back here, and hopefully it won't be too difficult. There we go, got it in. And then the way you hook this is this little slider right here has to go up under that connector, and then this part of the crucible goes in that slot. So you kind of have to turn it, and then bam, put it in place, and then there's your trigger reassembled again. I know you didn't see it very clear there. Unfortunately, I don't have the best video production because I don't have any expensive equipment. I use generally I use one of my cameras that can shoot video, or I use my smartphone, and so I apologize for not having the best video production crew setup. So anyhow, okay, so real quickly, because I don't want to lose the striker block spring, I'm going to close this little packaging up right here. Still has the striker block and all. This is empty. I'm going to throw that out of the way. And then we got the two old parts here. So I'm going to set this right here, and got a little bit of trash there from the bag. Let's go ahead and put this back together, because we don't even have to take this apart again. Everything else that's going to happen is going to take place in the slide. So we can see how changing out the connector and the trigger spring, we can see how that affects the overall performance right now, and then it stays in place. We never have to change it out again, assuming that it does a great job, and I sure am hoping that it does. I can see that, boy, that is one tight spring, trigger spring already, so it's designed to assist with trigger pull, so it might be helping us already. The way it's looking, it seems fairly tight. So putting this back in reverse in the order. I may have taken that off screen, but I had to press that guy in. So now what we want to do, let me get all my pins gathered here. I'm going to put these back in. I'm going to go ahead and put this pin back in here for the trigger. Get that done and out of the way. I'm a stickler about balancing these guys so that they look very consistent on either side with my pin installation. So that's pretty good. Next, what we're going to do next is we're going to take your locking block and we're going to reinstall the locking block into the grip first, and basically going to take that and it just kind of slides in at an angle there, and boom, and it's put in. Okay, what I'm going to do here, the thing is, when you have your slide lock, this guy is held in place by a pin that goes through here, which is your main locking block pin, this guy, and this pin, which is this upper pin section on your Glock. I don't know if you can see that, actually slots through a little carved out section of your locking block, but this spring must be in front of it. So what I want to do is I want to install this and then put the actual full locking block pin in place. It's a little bit tricky, so if I have an issue with it here at first, I may have to kill the video and do it off screen, but I'm trying to, man, I'll tell you what, a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. That thing just now went in for whatever reason. I am so lucky I got that slide stop position just right, and it just went right in. So I'm just trying to adjust that pin now to make sure that I'm good on both sides, and I am. That guy is in place. He still doesn't have any real tension or action because he is not being held in place, or doesn't have any tension on him without this last pin that goes in at the top. It's the top pin here. So what I do is I start pushing this pin in, and as I get it almost through, I take myself my punch and I push that little spring forward. And it's kind of tough because it's the same color as the slide and everything, so it's a little tough to see. But my goal is to push it forward enough to get that pin on top of it, which I did. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. I can tell in the video. But anyhow, it's in. And now let me just balance that pin setting out. Okay. Everything looks pretty good. Man, my OCD won't let me stop until I get it pretty much balanced. Okay, got everything in. Everything is moving properly. So let's put this guy back together right quick, and let's just get a feel on how he's operating. This locks, boom, woo. Function checks good. All right. Let's see what it does. We got zeroed out, and get on here and pull the trigger a couple times. And look at that. That is right at 4¼ pounds right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is 4¼ pounds. I don't know if that even helps. 4¼ pounds on the first pull. Let's check it again. That is right at just a shade over 4 pounds even, right there on the second pull. Let's try it again. Try and give us some general idea on 3 pulls here. And that one was right at 4½ pounds, just a shade over 4½. So, and you know, that variance on this little spring gauge here, that variance from 4¼ to 4 even to 4½, could be, you know, where I have it positioned on this trigger. The lower you go on the trigger, the lighter the feel is going to be on the gauge, and the higher you go, the higher the poundage is going to be, because it's a leverage thing when you have a rod like this pulling on it. So this is not a controlled environment. So essentially, from those 3 trigger pulls, we can see that this went down from a general range of 6½ or so pounds down to a basic average of right around 4¼ pounds. What that does a couple things for us. That still gives us the same amount of creep, right? And then it lets us, bam, squeeze that trigger, and so it at a lesser poundage, but still retains all the safeties. That's the one thing that's really so great about this, is it just, man. And then let's see the reset. Reset is strong and right back again. So that really is a nice feel. I like it. And the thing is, supposedly, and I don't know this to be true, we've already got this down to 4¼ pounds. We've got a 2+ pound drop in pull weight off of this, but it still leaves it as a very good defensive and defensive carry type firearm, because it's not too light, still retains all the safeties. If we put in the 4 pound reduced power spring on the striker and the reduced striker block spring, the theory is that this would drop even lower and get it down under that 4 pound mark. I may come back and do that at a later date, but right now I'm pretty happy with it where it's at. And I've got a lot of slide work to do with this guy. You can see it's got a lot of holster wear. So a lot of work to be done on this guy. I think I'm going to skip that for now. I think we've already illustrated that this Ghost Inc. Ultimate Trigger Kit actually works right out of the packaging without even installing the entire kit. Half the kit installed, at least the parts in the trigger, and it has already improved this firearm's pull and feel greatly. So anyhow, that's what I got, folks. I'll get back to you at a later date with more on this firearm as this project continues. But I'm gonna sign off. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Texas. Y'all have a great day and a great finish to the spring break for those of you that are on spring break with your kids. And for those of you that have spring break upcoming, enjoy it. Take care. Bye-bye.